Thank you all so much for joining us today. This is the 2024 START Grant webinar. It's really an info session where we are going to review the main information for the grant and walk you through the application process and also have a moment for some of your questions. The webinar is being recorded. We will make it public to applicants who might not be able to join either of our two grant webinars. So we want to say welcome. We are excited to see all of you. Thank you for your interest. Here at the Arts Foundation for Tucson and Southern Arizona, our mission is to advance artistic expression, civic participation, and equitable economic growth of our diverse communities by supporting, promoting, and advocating for arts and culture in our region. We support creatives who bring art to life through funding. We provide artist grants, organizational grants, scholarships, sponsorships. We have a portfolio of public art that commissions public artworks. We have a Saludarte program, Thrive in the O5 program, Transportation Art by Youth. We also do it through promotion, Open Studio Tours, which has a big announcement coming up, through professional training, City Hall exhibition, Spotlights and Color Palette, and through advocacy, through Artist Stories podcast, Cultural Directory, our website, and our newsletter. So the START Grant 2024, the funding purpose of this grant is to provide award funds through two alternate tracks of support. The first one is the Community Impact Track, which provides financial support to individuals and groups, as well as 501c3 organizations. There's a caveat there, for projects that will positively impact a community through an artistic endeavor. The caveat for 501c3 eligibility is that this is not an operational support grant. We support organizations for specific individual kind of community impact opportunities that are not part of the regular season or the regular programming of an arts organization. We will actually launch a general operating support grant for organizations for that particular purpose in the coming weeks. The artist development track of this grant provides financial support for creatives for whom a specific practice-related capital resource or professional development experience will make an impact on their artistic practice. It is open to artists groups, collectives, community groups, 501c3 organizations within the city of Tucson, city of South Tucson, Pima County, Native Sovereign Nations of Tohono O'odham Nation, and Pascua Yaqui Tribe. The award amount that applicants may request can range between $500 and $5,000. Eligible costs or expenses are project-related expenses, including supplies, artist fees, honoraria, and contractors. The funders are City of Tucson and Pima County. The link to our guidelines is on this page. I just want everyone to know that we will be mailing out, we will be emailing you a copy of this PowerPoint. So if you're furiously doing screenshots, you don't need to do that. We will provide that to you, as well as all the links. And all of the information you will see in this PowerPoint presentation can actually be found on our website. So the eligibility criteria for this grant program, did I skip a page? Let me see. Nope. The review criteria of artistic excellence and artistic merit for this grant program is number one, potential impact. The panelists will be assessing the project's potential to enhance visibility, appreciation, and or professional development of the artist or community. Like, is that clearly stated in the application narrative? The potential for the project to create positive social, personal, or professional change. And is that evident? Is it thoughtful? Is it deliberate? So don't forget to talk about impact. Capacity. Do the application materials denote capacity to successfully complete the project as shown through your past experience, through related projects, or appropriate work samples? Is the budget reasonable in terms of the scope of work that is being proposed? And then correlation. Does the applicant demonstrate an appropriate correlation between their proposal and their artistic trajectory or development, either for themselves or for their community? The arts and culture component is evidently central to the proposal, and this is really important. The narrative questions that are asked, depending on which track applicants self-select, are as follows. The community track questions. The first question is, introduce yourself or your group or your organization. Describe the arts and culture project you are proposing. Explain your capacity to successfully complete the proposal. And then discuss the intended impact the project will have on your community, and be sure to define your community. So as you can see, the questions are they correlate pretty one-to-one. We ask you about impact, we ask you about capacity, and then we ask you to introduce yourself and the arts and culture project you are proposing so that panelists may assess correlation. Similarly, for the artist development track questions, we ask the applicants introduce themselves or their group, describe what the funds are needed for, explain how the opportunity relates to their artistic practice, and then discuss the intended impact of the proposal on whatever stage they are on their career. Now, who is eligible? This grant is open to all applicants that meet all of the following criteria at the time of application. If any of you have eligibility questions that expand beyond this list, please don't hesitate to reach out, send me an email, and we'll get back to you ASAP. Criteria one, the applicant must be a working artist group, working in any arts and culture discipline, or a 501c3 organization seeking funding for a special community engaged project that is not part of their regularly scheduled season or programming. Criteria two, the applicant must currently reside within the city of Tucson, and that means your address must have a corresponding ward. There are parts of city of Tucson that do not have a corresponding ward. If that is the case, unfortunately, you are not eligible to receive funding unless you also happen to reside within the city of South Tucson, Pima County, or Pascua Yaqui Reservation, or the Tohono O'odham Sovereign Nation. All grantees will be required to complete a W-9 and be responsible for the financial reporting on these grant funds. Grantees will be required to submit a brief final report 30 days after the end of the funding period to document their expenses and provide a brief description of programming. Funded project activities must take place between July 1st, 2024 and June 30th, 2025. And so the final report will be due for grantees will be due, I believe, is mid-August of 2025. And then applicants may only apply for one single project at a time. Our application timeline is as follows. We launched this grant program last week, Valentine's Day, February 14. The due date of application is March 12th, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. Arizona time. The review period takes place between Wednesday, March 13, 2024 and Wednesday, May 1st, 2024. The notifications and award materials will be sent out to all applicants between May 2nd and May 16th. That means everyone who applies will know the status of the funding recommendation for their proposal, and those who are selected to receive a grant by the independent panel of your colleagues will hear from us during that time and will receive all of their letters of agreement and all of the financial documentation that we are required to collect in order to issue your grant funding. Your funding period will then start July 1st, 2024, conclude June 30th, 2025, and a final report will be due Tuesday, August 12th, 2025. Eligible expenses are really any project-related expenses you can think of, including supplies, artist fees, honorariums, and contractors. There is an appendix in the guidelines where you can gain further insight. There are certain things that we are not able to fund. If you have any questions on whether your expenses are eligible or not, after consulting the guidelines, please reach out to us. The review process. So who looks at your application materials? Basically, we will convene a panel of artists, arts administrators, community advocates, and cultural workers representing geographic, discipline, and ethnic diversity. And they will review, deliberate, and score the materials submitted by each applicant. The materials will be assessed solely based on the eligibility, completeness, and clarity based on the published review criteria. Those three criteria we just reviewed together. The panel recommendations are then submitted to the Arts Foundation Board of Directors for formal approval and authorization. And then the staff reaches out to all of you and lets you know what that funding recommendation was. We take equity very seriously at the Arts Foundation. The Arts Foundation for Tucson and Southern Arizona has an equity strategy that aims to identify and eliminate barriers that have prevented undercapitalized groups full participation from the agency's programs, and to strengthen equity, diversity, and inclusion in the arts and culture sector for all communities of Southern Arizona. The program is committed to a just and equitable distribution of funding. To that commitment, the Arts Foundation for Tucson and Southern Arizona will consider equity and geographic parity as part of our decision-making and will work to expand the reach of the relief opportunity to a broad, diverse community. So what is it that you have to submit and prepare? In a nutshell, we ask you to prepare these materials. You can submit in English or Spanish. Our staff is bilingual. And the first thing you have to provide are narrative questions. These are the same questions that correlate to the evaluation criteria pretty much one-to-one. You can type your narrative questions, answer in writing. You can also prepare a video submission where you can narrate the answer to these questions if you don't want to provide a written submission. There is a word limit and there is a minute limit. This is purely because we anticipate receiving a large volume of applications. And so we just want to make sure that everyone gets the same amount of attention and thoughtfulness from our panelists. So 4-minute in length video or audio, and then 750 word maximum written submission to introduce yourself, describe the project you are proposing, explain capacity, and then discuss impact. So we just want to name the fact that if you do submit a video submission, you will not be assessed based on the quality of that video. We understand that's just your narrative. You may be a painter wanting to apply with a video submission. We will simply look at content, much like we would with your narrative. You can include the URL link. And again, your 4-minute video will simply be utilized to assess content. You will also be asked to provide work samples that correspond to your primary discipline. And then there will be a space for you to indicate the title, the date when the work was created, the medium, and the size. We are requesting 3 minutes of recorded audio or 3 minutes of recorded video, or 6 images, or 3 to 5 poems, or a maximum of 5 pages of double-spaced text. You can submit a combination of materials. Please edit accordingly for no more than a total of 3 minutes of viewing time. If you submit 2 images, 2 images equal 1 minute, then you could upload 2 minutes of video. Again, this is really to ensure that that panelists assess all applications with as much, with the same type of attention as all grantees, as all applicants. We also ask that you provide a professional resume or bio. You will be asked to upload a document or provide a link to your professional arts bio or resume. If the link or your bio or resume requires a password, please be sure to enter it in the designated field. Test all of your materials before you hit submit. You can save a draft in Submittable. And then a budget form, which basically is really to indicate what expenses you are requesting funding for. We have a template that again is available on our website through our guidelines. And you can download that, plug in your numbers, and upload that to Submittable. If you have your own budget that you track, you can upload that as well. Just again, make sure that it is specific to this funding opportunity. Frequently asked questions. Okay, here we go. So can I apply if I receive funding from the Project Mesquite Start to Heal in 2023? This is the last grant we just administered. The answer is no. Technically, those who received a grant in 2023, their funding period is actually still active. So they are technically in contract, undertaking the activities for their grant. So unfortunately, you are not eligible. If you received a grant from 2022 and you submitted your final report, you are eligible to apply. However, if you received CARES Act funding from the Arts Foundation, are you eligible to apply for the 2024 START grant? The answer is yes, you are eligible to apply. How can those grant funds be spent? So you can assign expenses in your application form. And we really ask that you stick to those categories that you requested funding for. If you need to make a change or an amendment, you are definitely able to do so, but we do need you to send us an email. Please remember that Panelists assess your applications and your budget, and the board ratified those expenses. So if you want to make changes, we can definitely do that. There is a process for that, but we need you to run those changes by us to make sure that your new expenses are eligible, because there are certain things we cannot fund. So if you have any questions about that, you can send us an email. Submitting the application. So how long will this grant program accept applications? The application is due by the published deadline at 11:59 p.m. So unfortunately, we are not able to accept applications after that time. Please, please prepare your applications ahead of time. Hit submit before, the day before, the morning of. If you send us an email at 7 p.m. that you are having technical difficulties, unfortunately, that will not gain you an extension. Please prepare your materials ahead of time. You can save a draft in Submittable and then hit submit when you're ready. If you start an application through the Arts Foundation Submittable, can you save it and submit later? The answer is yes, you can save your draft. Be sure to hit save often. If the page refreshes, you might lose information. Will you receive confirmation that your application was received? The answer is yes. You will receive a submission confirmation to the email associated with your Submittable account. All of our official communication will be issued through Submittable. So make sure that whatever email address is associated with your Submittable account is the most current, is the email you check on a regular basis. Review process. Do I score your applications? No, we do not. Arts Foundation staff does not review applications for anything other than completeness. If we can't, for example, see your budget, I will be the person who'll be reaching out saying, hey, can you help me make sure your budget is viewable? But we actually, we convene an independent team of panelists to review your applications. Can you find out about the status of your application during the panel process? No. Once the applications are received, we scan them for completeness and then we advance them to the panel review process. We only reach out to folks if there is a question around a piece of your application. But if everything's fine, your application was received and will advance to that panel review. We cannot give any information during that time to safeguard the panel process. After the panel review is completed, there's the final recommendations go to our board for review. And then you get to hear from all of us in May. Will panel feedback be available to you after that? Yes, aggregated feedback will be available to applicants. If you wish to receive your panel comments, please reach out to us. I do want to say, just please keep in mind that it takes roughly, it'll take between 2 and 4 weeks to give you those panel comments. It's not because we don't think it's very important. We do. We are in the process of administering funding just to make sure that we meet all of our own timelines and deadlines. And the last question we have in the frequently asked session is there a cost match required for this program? i.e., if you're requesting $500, you have to have a match from another, from a donation or another organization? And the answer is no. You can your full project can be funded through this grant. And then we want to let you know that in order to receive funding, everyone needs to join the Arts Directory. We encourage you to join, even if you're just at the application part of the grant. organizations, individual artists, collectives, community groups can join. We often will pull information from the directory when we are asked to recommend artists, organizations, or community groups. Please join the arts directory. And now I will go and I will direct you to, okay, can everyone see our website? Yeah, okay. So this is the information that is on the Arts Foundation's website. It's the grant program. It gives, the details, the due date, the budget, who it's managed. You can download the guidelines, which look like this. Does it look familiar? Basically, this is the same exact information that I just reviewed with you. Everything anyone should need in order to apply can be found here. Here's the application at a glance, the overview, the award, eligibility questions, application timeline, eligible expenses, how to apply, which basically goes through the submittable process, the review process, criteria, once again, equity and assistance, submission materials, and then the application questions. So these are all the application questions that are actually part of the submittable portal. The demographics section is really, it's optional, so you can provide information. We like to track our service, and so this is one of the ways we do it. Here's a frequently asked section, and that's it. And here's the application. So if instead of clicking guidelines, and you can download them as well as a PDF, you click apply, you'll come to this page, which is the actual application. So this gives you a little bit of background info on START. It asks for your address. I'm going to save and continue. And then this is what the eligibility questions look like. So it's going to ask you if you reside within Pima County. I'm going to say I'm an individual artist because I am a practicing artist. I do have a 1-year history of arts production. I am definitely over 18 years old. I can provide a W-9, and I'm not a past grantee of the Arts Foundation. But if I clicked yes, then it would ask me if I submitted my final report. And I'm going to say yes. And then once I get through that eligibility part, it'll take me to my applicant profile. So this is my name or the name of my organization, mailing address, city, state, zip code, county, native sovereign nation. If you do not reside within a native sovereign nation, you select does not apply. My website, my social media. We ask that you upload a cover photo. This allows panelists a lot of them are visual, to more easily identify you. Your primary contact, first name and last name. This is your legal name. A lot of artists, including myself, don't use our legal name. This is where we ask you to include that. Your phone number, email, a secondary method of communication. And then your federal congressional district, you can, if you don't know which one it is, you can look it up by clicking here. So it's taking a second, but you can look it up by entering it into this link. Your ward, Pima County Supervisory District. If you're applying with a fiscal sponsor, which you are not required to do, if you select yes, then it'll ask for that fiscal sponsorship information, including the MOU, the Memorandum of Agreement. And then section 3, finally, you can start selecting, if you're following the artist development track, the community impact track, the project name, the requested award amount, again, between 500 and 5,000, how long you've been doing cultural work, a primary artistic discipline, an additional one if you have more than one, and then your submission materials. So again, here are the questions once again for community impact track, for artist development track, and then you can let us know if you are uploading a file or entering a response. If you typed your response in a Google Doc and you are, or a Word document, and you're gonna, or any other text software, and you're gonna cut and paste into here, you can do so. Again, if you're gonna provide a link, please make sure that it is not password protected, or that you somehow let us know what that is, what that password is. Your bio or resume, your work samples, work sample description, your budget form, and the demographic data, which again, you can select I prefer not to answer or not applicable if the information is not applicable in the case of an organization or collective, or if you don't feel comfortable sharing that information with us. We track for internal purposes only. We track age, self-identification of various types, ability, cultural heritage, income, then your disclosure and signature. If there's anything you want to share with us, these two sections, section 5, anything other than section 4, your submission materials are not viewed by the panelist. Nothing other than these questions, your bio, your work samples, and your budget form are reviewed by panelists. Everything else is for internal tracking purposes only, and for our own reporting to our funders. And then we ask that you certify that you do not discriminate in your practices. We ask if you grant us media release so that we may celebrate and share your information. How did you hear about us, about this grant? If there are other Arts Foundation opportunities you are interested in, and then certify, and a certification that all the information you submitted is accurate to the best of your knowledge. So again, you can save your draft. It auto-saved 2 minutes ago, or you can submit your application if it's completed. Once you submit your application, you cannot go back and edit. So I will stop sharing at this point, and we can move